Good morning! Welcome to another episode of Cyber Secrets. In this episode, we're going to talk about Bittorents and Anonymity. Some of the tools we're going to use are TrueCrypt, portable apps, uTorrent, and a proxy called BTGuard, the Tor Onion browser, and ThePiratebay. So let's get started. Let's start off with the idea. You've just released your flagship product, a software that can revolutionize your industry. The new blockbuster movie your studio spent hundreds of millions of dollars creating. Your music album that hasn't even been released yet. You pick your intellectual property poison. Here's the problem. Over 100,000 people around the world now have the fruits of your hard work. To top it off, they now have it for free. How could this happen? How can you track them down? Well, let's find out how they can continue to evade your relentless tracking. One of the programs that I like is Portable Apps. It allows you to get all kinds of applications and put them onto a USB thumb drive. This can kind of evade some of the forensics capability. So we're going to emulate this temporarily and make a folder called PAB, or Portable Apps BitTorrent. Once we download the files, we're going to put them into the folder and then treat that like a USB. So all we're going to have to do is copy everything from the folder onto a USB thumb drive. So once we download the file, again make sure it's in the PAB, and start the file. Now we're going to start the Tor browser bundle from torbrowserproject.org. This is going to allow us to go to the Tor network with little to no effort. A common proxy that's being used out there is called BitGuard. The reason why it's popular is because they do not store local log files. For example, on their video, it says without BitGuard, your local IP is going to be seen everywhere on the network when you download. However, when you get BTGuard, you connect directly to their service and they act as a proxy. But what's interesting about them is they also have some encryption software that you can use to connect to their proxy, so even the ISP can't see what you're doing. So now let's install Portable Apps. This is going to be our base program. Once we install it, you're going to want to make sure to install it in that folder we just created, which is the PAB. And we're going to keep the Launch Portable Apps platform on. We're going into Finish, because a lot of times what it'll do is it'll search the internet or the site for programs to install. But as you can see on the right hand side, there's nothing in it. Portable Apps is just the red program or the container program for everything else. Just check the internet, and now we're going to try to find uTorrent. So let's go and scroll down to the internet section. Once we find uTorrent, we'll go ahead and install that as well. So we just installed Portable Apps, and now we're installing uTorrent. Once that's complete, we're going to be partially way there. The next thing we're going to do is run the Tor browser install, and then install it into the Portable Apps folder. So it's going to be the PAB folder / Portable Apps. Now it's installed. We'll open it up, just verify, and it is there. Now let's open up Tor Portable Browser. She goes in the PAB / Portable Apps. And here we're just going to name it as TBB, as Tor Browser Bundle. Going to install. This does take a little bit of time. Once it's done, we're going to go and uncheck Run Tor Browser Bundle and finish. The reason why we're doing that is so we can open up the Tor Browser Bundle. You go to Apps, then refresh app icons, and now we can see both the Tor Browser Bundle and the uTorrent. Now let's open them up just to make sure they still run. Open up the Tor Browser Bundle. Once it starts, we're going to verify the IP address. Now the first thing you want to do when you get the Tor browser open is check to see if you are on the Tor network. So if you click on Test Tor Network Settings, and just make sure that you get an IP address from a Tor exit router. And as you see, it says, congratulations, this Tor browser is configured to use Tor. That's great. So now let's get rid of the installs, because we don't need that anymore once we copy everything in this folder over the USB drive. So now that we have uTorrent installed, the first thing we're going to do is set up some sort of proxy in it. And since we have BTGuard, we'll go ahead and start there. But to get into the area, you need to go to Options, then you need to go down to Preferences. There's a section called Connections. That's where the proxy server information's at. But before we can put it in, we need to know what it is. So BTGuard, we log in, and they have a nice little link over there called Install BTGuard, which gives you all the pertinent information, such as the domain name you need to connect to, the port, and all the other relevant info. So at this point, we see it says proxy.btguard.com. So go ahead and hit SOX5 proxy, put in the name, and then we're also going to need to change the port. On this one, it's 1025. And as you can see, it needs authentication, so we're going to put in the username and password. And I'll go ahead and block that out for you so you don't see what mine is. And then as you see, the rest of the content is all checked out, such as use proxy for hostname lookups, use proxy for peer-to-peer connections, disable DNS lookups. So this is going to prevent the connections from the uTorrent to go outside of the encrypted traffic or through the proxy. So we're going to close it, set it up again, and everything's there, so that's good to go. And this is how a lot of the people that are downloading things that are extremely hard to catch are doing it. The problem comes down to, as soon as they're downloading it that way, you have to go to places like BTGuard or some of the other places to get the records or get the log information. If they're not keeping it, that's a problem. So now as you can see, with the Tor browser bundle, we're going to the Pirate Bay. And we're going to look up some of the videos that I've uploaded there, which is the Cyber Secrets episodes. So we're going to right-click on one of the magnet links, and the magnet links are a little bit more anonymous than your basic BitTorrent links, but they transfer practically the same. I'm going to go and add the torrent, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time to get the rest of the information for it. So we're going to go and hit OK, and let's go ahead and look up one more torrent, a smaller torrent file, so you can actually see it download. So we're going to go back to the Pirate Bay window, and once we do, we're looking at, let's download from the user itself and the Beginner's Guide to the Internet Underground. It's a relatively small file. Add this back in, or Control-U is a shortcut. Go ahead and hit OK. And as you see, download speed, it's only about a 5 meg file, give or take, and it's downloading relatively quickly. The cool part about these BitTorrent programs is they chop the file up into pieces, and then everybody's transferring its own little piece. That makes an extremely efficient file transfer protocol. The problem comes down to intellectual property theft. So at this point, once it's downloaded, go ahead and right-click on it, open folder, continue, and now you can see the file. And also, look at the path. So the path is going to be in the Portable Apps BitTorrent, in the uTorrent under Data, and then under Downloads. Now let's say the Internet Pirate wants to go one more layer of anti-forensics. What they'll end up doing is encrypting the drive or encrypting the content that they're going to put on the USB. So we're going to do that by using TrueCrypt. So with TrueCrypt, the easiest way to do that is just go to Extract, and then once you extract the content, you don't have to install it with registries or anything in that aspect. But once we put it into the folder, you're going to have all the tools that you need to be able to decrypt and encrypt specific volumes and entire drives. So at this point, we're going to go to New Folder, just call it Pirate, and then store the Portable Apps content into that folder. So at this point, we want to prep it to be able to put into a USB thumb drive. So at this point, we're going to start up a TrueCrypt. Then we're going to create a new volume. This new volume is going to be an encrypted container. It can contain 2 encrypted, but we're just doing the 1 level. Hidden containers can be inside the normal encrypted container for plausible deniability. So we're going to call this specific file pagefile.sys. Next, yes. And then once we finish it, we choose the encryption we want. We're going to only choose about 500 meg. That's relatively small. People that are normally doing this are usually getting a lot larger file. So the password we're going to use is test. So you can see it, just a very simple, stupid one. Hit next, do some sort of entropy, hit create, just format it in a fat file system. Now we're going to be able to mount it and use it. So once it's finished, we'll go ahead and hit OK. Hit exit out of here, because what we're going to do is put all of those the content in the pirate folder directly in that drive. We're going to save it as the P drive, open up the page file.sys or that encrypted container, and then mount it. Put in the password test. Once the password's in there, we can now see that as our P drive. Go and scroll down. We can now see local drive P. With that said, we just copied the pirate folder over. We can open it up, open start or portable apps. Now this is running from the encrypted container. We just started the browser, and this Tor browser bundle just went to ThePiratebay, and everything is now located in that encrypted container. So again, what we can do at this point is then copy all that content back to the USB, so the Tor browser can encrypt the anonymous traffic onto the websites, but people still do not want you using the browser for the actual BitTorrent, because that slows the entire network down. The proxy or VPN service, like BTGuard or any of the others, help encrypt the traffic for the BitTorrent. And TrueCrypt offers an additional layer of security. But again, with portable apps, it's all mobile. Now that we've just covered only one of the ways that some people will actually be able to download intellectual property without being traced down to the original IP address, what are some of the solutions to prevent this or stop it? Well, unfortunately, there's no 100%. There's never 100%. But some of the solutions from the inside out would be to whitelist all the applications that are running on your systems to prevent unknown applications from running. So you're going to deny all except only the specific trusted. Blacklist all known Tor entry-exit relays. Blacklist BitTorrent traffic. And then force all your traffic to go through a centralized proxy that requires authentication. What this authentication will then do is allow you to, again, minimize unknown traffic. If you're trying to find somebody from the outside, this gets a lot more difficult. What you're hoping for from an investigation standpoint is that they're either A, not using a proxy or not using encryption, and you'll be able to immediately tie them back to the original IP address. If they are going to a proxy, what you're hoping is that that proxy is going to record the traffic or log the content, such as a proxy called Hide My Ass. They claim that they didn't record or store traffic, but they did, and a lot of people ended up getting arrested because of the log content. Now let's say realistically that they are behind quite a few proxies, either through Tor or some of the commercial proxy VPN services out there. Well, through an investigation, how can you find out where they're actually coming from? Realistically, some of the vendors, even law enforcement, have taken pages from the hacker manuals. So what it comes down to is they have some sort of call home function. Either it could be an update or some sort of license for an offsite. It calls home, and at that point, it usually goes outside the proxy because the proxy is specifically usually just for the browser. If they're VPN, that's another issue. But if it's a proxy, then they can still get the originating IP address. If you'd like to learn more about advanced information security, InfoSec Institute is a great resource at infosecinstitute.com.